who you're representing here today, whether you're the applicant, owner, or someone else connected to the project. So we'll begin with Matt Dune.
Matt Dunn, I'm the COO of MEMI, Music and Event Management.
Okay, great. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we also have Trey Sheldon here from the City Planning Department. Welcome, Trey.
Good morning.
And Scott Kyle.
Hi, Scott Kyle, GBBN. We are the architects.
Okay, great. Are we expecting anyone else to join us on the applicant owner side here before we get started?
No.
Okay, great. Let's get into it then. I'm going to read through the hearing script. This is just going to cover the procedure for the hearing, and then we'll begin. So this is the January 7th, 2026 session of the zoning hearing examiner docket. Again, my name is David Sturkey. I'll be presiding over the hearing today. The case before us is case number ZH20250130. That's 6199 Kellogg Avenue. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and any other parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the zoning hearing examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any other party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. For our purposes here today, I'll allow Mr. Dunn and Mr. Kyle to tell me about the project, the relief that they're requesting, and then of course why they believe that relief should be granted. You can orient that presentation however you'd like. One of you can speak, both of you can speak. It's completely up to you. If there were anyone here from the general public, they would have an opportunity to speak after the applicant had presented its case. I'll hear from Trey Sheldon from the planning department to provide any testimony in addition to the staff report that he submitted on this project. And in the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to this application, the applicant will have an opportunity to respond to that testimony offered in opposition. And then finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make any closing statements. After all presentations have been made, I will close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. Okay, the last thing I need to do is just swear in all of our witnesses. So if you intend on providing any testimony here today, the zoning code requires that I swear you in prior to that testimony. So if that's you, if you could take yourself off of mute, I need everyone to raise their right hand and to answer out loud. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
I do.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. All right, who's going to be taking the lead here for us on the applicant's presentation?
I will.
Okay, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Scott Kyle, GBBN. We are the architects and project manager for the design and documentation for the project that is now currently moving forward. Very brief summary, at the end of 2023, MEMI, a subsidiary of the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra, purchased the remaining property that was previously owned by the Coney Island family related to the Coney Island project. And it is now a 120-acre contiguous parcel that stretches 70 acres into the city of Cincinnati and the remainder on the Hamilton County, Anderson Township side. The proposed project that we're discussing today is a new outdoor amplified music venue for 20,000 patrons, similar in patron size and configuration to the existing Riverbend that is on the Anderson Township side. And then the similarity stops. This is state-of-the-art, enhanced user experience kind of music venue. It uses the idyllic site for its setting. It utilizes some existing parking. It will be utilizing some new parking. The considerations that we wanted to touch on today have to do with a variance for building height, which is an increase from the zoning allowable height of 35 feet to an additional 41 feet. Then a variance for, there's two elements related to overflow parking for trucks and buses. One is a variance for striping. The other is special exception for landscaping. I don't know if I have those backwards, Trey. I apologize. The,
You're correct.
okay,
Got it.
great. The, the overflow parking requests have to do with allowing for operational use of areas for overflow trucks and buses, and allowing the management staff to manage how that area is used, depending, which will vary from show to show. Sometimes there will be trucks and buses, sometimes there will just be regular parking. The building height is obviously identified throughout the request and the proposal and described in earnest. It is overall consistent with what's happening with existing PNC on site and existing Riverbend on site in terms of height over the existing required limit. And we feel like that it is overall a benefit to the community to allow this and enable us to move forward. I'm happy to close it out there.
Okay. I don't think I have any questions right now. Mr. Dunn, did you want to add anything to that?
No, sir. I think he's covered everything.
Okay, great. Trey, you want to add anything here?
Just a couple things. I wanted to note, like as I did in my staff report, that they're repaving a lot of existing parking area immediately to the west of what will be the amphitheater. So the amphitheater involves paving. It involves locating the new amphitheater or the new venue on top of what's now mostly existing parking and some hardscape that was part of Coney. And so there wasn't a necessity for buffer yard out by Kellogg because they weren't increasing the total impervious surface by more than 30%. Essentially, they're building on top of a parking lot, and then the spaces lost were I think you approved it many months ago or whatever, or reviewed it, but there was a covenant done with Riverbend over there with Anderson Township involved to utilize their parking spaces. And no events are going to go on at the same, like at the same time. I mean, it'd be like competitive. You'd have sound overflow and stuff. So from what I understand, the programming for this, so if there's something at PNC Pavilion, if there's a show there, there's not going to be a show here at the same night. They're able to get their parking count by existing parking that's over there. And from what I understand, there's also going to be parking on top of, this is Anderson Township, but there's going to be more parking over there where Sunlight Pool was demolished. It's right now it's just been raised, and earth there. Anyhow, the area of the parking that we're referring to is to the north of that a lot that's being repaved. You can see it on my in my staff report on both figures 3 and 4. It's just to the like the northwest of Lake Como and just north of the newly paved parking lot, and it's just an open lot, David. It's going to have it's basically got its perimeter landscaping, but doesn't have any trees or anything and no markings because it was just utterly impractical. I spoke with the engineer on the project from Kleinger's, and he was just saying, there are times where there may be a whole festival or something held here, like a music festival where there are, 7 different bands playing, and that thing may be completely full of tour buses and semis and whatnot. And other times there may be just, a minimal thing, part of the chamber orchestra or something. So they really need that to be super flexible, and putting in islands or any kind of wheel stops, peninsulas, landscape islands, all that business and striping would just cause confusion because they're basically, from what I understand from Scott and from the engineer, they're going to have staff in there directing people. I mean, if they're trucks and stuff, they're going to situationally handle that. So it's almost like on a on demand as needed kind of facility. So that's why they're asking for the relief there. And the height just is impractical to me. I realize that because the riverfront recreational and residential and recreational district is kind of cobbled together as one zoning district. But when you have a 35-foot height, that's understandable for a residence. But when you have permitted uses that include stadiums, large arenas, amusement parks, I mean, it seems very impractical that you would be able to limit something like a stadium or an arena in this case to, or a venue of this sort to 35 feet. One other quick factor, and then I'll stop my contribution to it as well, is it's just Kyle didn't touch on it, but the parts of Riverbend itself flood, and there are times when the stage area and everything down in the area down in the grass part where you can sit in the lawn, even part of that sometimes floods during a really high flood stage because of when it was designed. Now the flood regulations are much more strict as far as building codes, building requirements. And so one thing I dealt with Scott and with the engineers and with Walt Moeller, who handles the flood stuff for the buildings inspections department, they decided to bring up, like, to terrace this entire project. So that's something that also increases the relative height, because the way the code's written, you could go down to what the flood level, below flood level, and then have your measurement up from that, if that makes sense. Well, they've actually brought so there is no real like lower level to this that would be floodable. They've actually brought the entire ground up to above flood level, so that they didn't have to. I think it would have been very exorbitant costs and just a general hassle to have things flood. And so they basically have used terracing and building up of the soil here to not have to go through all of that. They're just keeping this out of the flood zone, and that kind of took out the mulligan factor that allows you a little extra height wiggle room, if that makes sense to you. Normally with some, with stilts or something, you don't start, like a house, you don't start measuring up until you're at the flood point, but they couldn't do that here because they've brought the ground all the way up to the flood thing. So they're basically set at 35. So I did want to add that little additional element to it because I think they're trying to have this state-of-the-art facility not ever flood, hopefully. And so that also made it even more challenging as far as the height goes.
Okay, great. Thanks, Trey. That makes sense.
Okay.
All right. Anything from Mr. Dunn or Mr. Kyle in response to Mr. Sheldon's comments, or anything else, closing or otherwise?
Appreciate the additional detail add.
Okay, great. I think we can leave it at that. I don't have any more questions. I've had a chance to review the application materials and the staff report. Based on that, and based on the testimony that I've heard here today, I agree that it would be impractical to strictly enforce the zoning code to this application. And so I'm going to approve the requested relief. I think, as you know, Mr. Kyle, I need to formalize that approval in a written decision. I understand that there may be, it typically takes about 2 weeks, but I understand that there may be some request for an expedited decision here to get things moving along. Is that right?
Whatever can be done would be greatly appreciated.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get to work on that right away. I'll try and get that out to you as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to ask another question. What are the enhanced user experience features that you mentioned at the beginning?
So on the simpler side, if you have any familiarity with the existing Riverbend, or even if you don't, you can watch. You can be a part of a show and go to the bathroom or go to get a drink or whatever. You walk out and around to those facilities. The primary difference here is that the restroom and concession facilities will be essentially beneath the seating bowl, or at least the primary portion of the seating bowl. So the lawn and the upper portion of the seats are configured a lot more like a stadium would be. So your path of travel is greatly reduced to getting those simple amenities. Beyond that, then there are what are essentially described as upgrades that you can either purchase as a part of your ticket, or you can become a member of a certain kind of club. There are 3 club facilities where you can go and get you have space. You can, there are bars and food service within those club facilities. And it kind of goes on from there. The view sight lines are greatly improved. The audio will be greatly improved. Everything about it will be state of the art. So, and it, it doesn't flood. That's a key element.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, that was just personal curiosity there. Thanks for
Sure.
sharing that. All right, well, look for an email from me within the next few days. And good luck with the project. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Look forward to checking it out when it's finished. We're adjourned.